Snapchat is one of the few apps that everyone has or has had. It's just one of the most iconic applications out there. The little white ghost against that yellow background is a trademark logo that's perfectly identifiable anywhere. Snapchat was once this great haven of intrigue and fun. Sending pictures to your friends of some funny shit that just happened and getting to customize and edit it allowed for a level of innovation that other social media just didn't have. You get a ton of freedom in how you express yourself. The only overarching rule is the timer. Pictures aren't permanent, but that's part of what makes Snapchat so unique. Consequently, this app became highly addictive. It, above all, rewarded flirtation with more flirtation. Frankly, Snapchat became the best way for today's teens to get to know each other. Boys like to be taunted by the pretty girl showing herself off in the mirror, and the pretty girl likes to show herself off. It's not exactly politically correct, but girls like to look hot because they know that boys will talk to them and give them looks if they do. In that way, Snapchat thrives as a medium that delivers on the horny advances of teenagers. It's just that primeval drive. And that primeval drive has steered Snapchat in a very specific direction. Over time, this route has forced Snapchat to take a route that's focused on exclusivity of identity and sexualization. There are private stories, group chats, subscriptions, and all sorts of functions to block or remove people from viewing what you post. This has led many people to feel like they're kind of left out or alone. Funny that literally every single social media meant to connect people seems to accomplish the opposite result, like 80% of the time. That's not exactly a scientifically gathered percentage, but it is one that gets my point across. Snapchat is isolated. It's gone from having this emphasis on freedom and expression to an emphasis on all sorts of exclusivity and loneliness. There are kids who have a Snapchat streak with over 100 people, but they don't actually talk to a single one of them.
Glass makers work skillfully to make one of them.
A streak is where you and another person send each other Snapchats for multiple days consecutively. You and I can pretend we're friends and we can tell other people that we're friends, but we never actually have to do anything related to having a friendship with each other. It's great. Now, obviously, this opens up a hole that has to be filled by something. We are starving for human connection, and that hunger only increases in times like these. The solution that Snapchat presents is the same one that almost every other social media has. It's to arbitrarily select individuals based on how attractive or how famous they are, and put them on your homepage so that you see them all the time. This tendency towards an emphasis on parasocial solutions to real social problems ends up becoming a positive feedback loop that only spins up. And when it hits that ceiling, people delete the app, or worse. My perception is that older kids who've had Snapchat for some time seem to get tired of it. I know I have. Something about it seems so robotic now. Like performing functions as you were conditioned to, like some sort of Pavlovian animal. We do take breaks, or detoxes from the app, as they're commonly known. But generally, detoxes fail. And that's either because the addiction was too strong, or because the person who's taking the detox isn't strong enough socially to interact with people in a meaningful way in real life. Detox is short for detoxification, of course. No! But generally, the ones who are taking the detoxes are either complacent or were partial perpetrators in whatever the toxic behavior was. Complacency is just collaboration in disguise, after all. However, it seems that this has slowly been chipping away at Snapchat's user base. This has actually led to a noticeable drop-off of about 5 million users just from quarters 1 to 3 of 2018. What's more is that 60% of all Snapchat users are aged 13 to 34. What this seems to imply to me is that Snapchat is dead in the water unless they can constantly inject new meat into their system. This problem has clearly influenced the changes that they've made to the app over the years. It's sort of morphed into this weird hub of news, which is actually an insultingly manipulative thing to call it. In reality, it's much more like a heap of trash that is just caked to the brim with the most absurd, counterproductive, and useless articles and news sources. Outlets like Now This and The Daily Telegraph spin the most outrageous stories catered specifically to my age group in the most pandering ways possible. Even the title language that's used in the thumbnails is meant to be relatable and hip. That's not even to mention the totally ridiculous tabloid news that continues to slime its way through this utter cesspool of garbage. They also give the most reprehensible people on the internet an endorsed platform to espouse their uninformed beliefs and show off their shell game style lives. People like Jeffree Star and Jake Paul are propped up on every recommended page. The philosophical orientation of every creator or group of creators will always leak into what they make, and in that way Snapchat is no different. Without philosophical grounding and a belief system that has well and properly defined ideas of good and evil, the moral compass of the creator or creators is going to spin
wildly out of control.
This downward spiral gives rise to a parallel reflection of who they are and what they believe in the form of what they create. Snapchat seems to be floundering in the effort to find its place as an app and as a business. Since going public, its value dropped like a rock, only to steadily grow towards a plateau in value per share. As an app, it's lost its footing as the cool social media.
How do you do, fellow kids?
And is now embroiled in this identity crisis. It has been trying to reinvent itself with every update, but their efforts are poisoned by ideology, and as a result, none of the things that they try are able to stick the landing. The average person seems to be awake to the issues of Snapchat, and indeed all of social media. What I predict is that Snapchat is actually on a long fall towards irrelevance. Just like MySpace, Tumblr, Flickr, LiveJournal, and all the ones who came before, Snapchat finds itself scouring the internet plane, searching for room at the top. To me, this just says that people are becoming wiser and more skeptical to the world around them. And wise, skeptical people are never in large enough supply. Hopefully, in the future, we will be able to look back and reminisce about that old app with the white ghost and the yellow background. We can keep the memory of that one social media that took up more of our time than all of the others. We can remember Snapchat. And as always, thank you for watching.